roll call, Ms. Douglas?
Certainly. Dylan Hides.
Here.
Chelsea Martin.
Here.
Ginger Fitch.
Here.
Betty Reynolds.
Here.
Regan Molitor.
Here.
I'm going to quickly get over my disclaimer. I'm a local attorney and I represent parents and children in the district. Should any matter come before the board that would materially benefit one of my clients, I will abstain from participating in the discussion and any decisions on that matter without disclosing the identity of my client. The first matter on the agenda is the election of board officers. And just as a procedural matter, it's certainly within Robert's Rules of Order not to have seconds, but not to require seconds, but to allow seconds. It's also, as my understanding is, our practice is normally to have seconds. My thinking was perhaps it would go faster both for this process and long-range planning to just open the floor for nominations without seconds. Is there any opinions on the process?
I think that sounds fine.
All right, we're going to try that. So I'm opening the floor for nominations for board chair.
I will nominate Ginger Fitch for board chair.
Are there other nominations?
Dylan Hides.
Just want to confirm there's no other nominations. Is that right?
For nominations.
All right. Aye.
Chelsea Martin.
Yes.
Ginger Fitch.
Yes.
Betty Reynolds.
Yes.
Regan Molitor.
Yes.
And thank you for that confidence. And I certainly understand you have been extending a lot of grace and patience over this last year. And I it and respect each of you as really valuable, strong leaders on the board, and I appreciate.
Just a moment just to say thank you also, because I know the chair is a big role and you've stepped up to it, and you put in a lot more time than a regular board member as a chair, and so I appreciate that.
I'd just like to add, as superintendent, and I think I can speak on behalf of our executive cabinet, that it's just been remarkable the amount of time you have put into not only learning the role this last year, but also leading the role with great integrity and diplomacy and great care for everyone to be involved and everyone to participate. And I'm looking forward to working closely with you again. So thank you for stepping up and taking this on. It means a great deal to us. Thank you.
Let's open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Dylan Hides.
Other nominations?
Dylan Hides.
Aye.
Chelsea Martin.
No.
Ginger Fitch.
Yes.
Betty Reynolds.
Yes.
Regan Molitor.
No.
Let's move into the next item of business, which I think is introducing some new stuff.
Thank you. We always enjoy this opening of board meetings, and for those who haven't been here before, this time for recognition and awards is about often acknowledging community members or staff members or those things happening in the district that we want folks to know about. And to be honest, this portion of the meeting could last hours when we think about students' recognitions and staff recognitions, but we try and keep it short and try and be selective. And so tonight, it's both my honor to introduce a couple of new faces, but before we get to the award for tonight, we're going to do a recognition. And the first person I'd like to call up is Dr. Erin Downs to introduce our new high school principal.
It is my pleasure, good evening, School Board, to introduce Mr. Greg Newman to our team. And so, Greg, would you mind joining me? I'm so excited to be able to bring him tonight, as today he officially said yes, and he had an opportunity. We had a great meeting with his team over at Westland High School earlier this evening, and we are just beyond excited. Mr. Newman comes to us with a great array of over 20 years of educational experience, and had worked in many different comprehensive high schools: Wilson High School, Roosevelt High School, Benson High School, and most recently he served as the principal at Yamhill Carlton High School for the last 4 years. And through our comprehensive and extensive interview search and process, and I want to just say thank you to Kathy Monroe and all the hard work that Kathy and her team has done. Mr. Newman rose to the top of a competitive process, and his energy, his commitment for student success, for each and every kid to be successful, not just during their time at Westland High School, but when they leave Westland High School, was infectious. His love of CTE and for equitable and inclusive experiences for each child really came through. So it is just my pleasure to welcome Greg to our team, and he has already in this short time made connections with the kids who are already at Westland High School, because there's always students around our high schools, and teachers and staff that are there. And just on behalf of our team, it's a great pleasure of mine to welcome him. I also want to just recognize Mark Horak, one of the assistant principals, who was able to come support Greg tonight. And just want to compliment Mark and Anya Hirschberger, Paul Hansen, and Trevor Mena. The four of them as assistant principals have been leading Westland High School this summer and have done a phenomenal job. They have everything ready to go. The conversation with Greg and his team tonight was impressive, because they were so well prepared and have us ready to welcome 1,800 and so kids back to Westland High School here in a short time. So I just want to compliment and thank Mark for joining us this evening. But it's on behalf of our whole team. Greg, welcome aboard, and love you to meet some dear friends in the school board. So thank you, Greg. Congratulations.
So I want to thank everybody who brought me through the process. Dr. Ludwig, Downs, Kathy, I really appreciated everything that you've done to welcome me here to Westland. I couldn't possibly be more excited to be here. It's a real great opportunity for me, and excited to get to work with the kids. I also want to thank the board members for serving. I know working in the school board can sometimes be a thankless job, and I really appreciate you supporting our kids and serving on the board. So thank you. I'm looking forward to working with all of you very closely, and as we open the door for kids here in a couple weeks, it's a little overwhelming to say the least, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm very happy to be here, and over the course of the years, I'm sure we'll get to know each other very well. So thank you again very much. I appreciate it.
And I just also want to thank the Mr. Korek and the others there at Westland, because we know that the communication has continued to go out through the community throughout this transition, and I'm certainly not hearing concerns and complaints, which is always a good sign, and so we appreciate the transition and the way you've handled that very much. Welcome.
I also noticed, Greg, that you have your lanyard.
Yes.
That says Westland Lions, so you're good to go.
I'm a beaver now, so.
Yeah. Once you get keys, that means you're good to go. Before we get to our award, I'd like to just publicly recognize and introduce our new Chief Financial Officer, soon to be Dr. Sunlee Hughes. Sun comes to us from also a very extensive background in financial planning, management, analyst work. She has most recently come to us from University of Oregon, working on the financial team there. She's also worked with Oregon State University, so she's a duck and a beaver, for those of you out there that are wondering about that. And then also 6 years in Eugene School District, working in the business department with financial management. So a long array, when you think of K-12 and post-12, of experience with public school finance. And she knows the work of budgets. She knows the work that comes out of state finance and public funding and grants, capital bonds, levies, local options. These are things that are familiar to her with her extensive background. So we welcome her, and already feels like she's been here quite a while, so it feels strange to introduce her to you, but I also want folks out there watching to get to meet her. And she is going to lead us in recognizing the award that we received over the summer as a school district.
Thank you, Kathy, and good evening to all. I'm very excited today first time I meet with the board and with public. So this year marks the 25th years in a row that West Linn-Wilsonville School District received this certificate. This certificate of achievement for excellence in financial report is recognized as one of the highest forms in governmental accounting and financial reports according to the Government Finance Office Association of the United States and Canada. So in order for us to achieve this certificate, our business staff has been working very hard. So this is the award that we received for fiscal year 2016-17. So our goal and our hope is by this time of next year, I will be here in front of you, present to you the 26th certificate of achievement for excellence. Thanks.
We do have Teresa Davis here. Teresa waved to the school, who is our senior accountant. So she's part of the team that helped to earn this award. And the acronym of this award is the CAFR Award. So we thought we should have CAFR cookies as a way of recognizing 25 years should not go unnoticed. So we're recognizing. So you'll have to let us know how CAFR cookies taste. And we've got plenty also for those sitting in the audience, so we hope that you'll enjoy those with us. This really is an award that's worth noting. It's a lot of hard work on behalf of the business office staff, a lot of attention to detail, persistence, and bringing their excellence every day. So again, congratulations to our business department, and let's enjoy those CAFR cookies.
Thank you.
Dr. Ludwig, Dr. Hughes, could I ask a question about the CAFR Award? Do you know what percentage of school districts receive the CAFR Award, and just how unusual is it for a school district to win 25 in a row?
I do not know the answer to that question. I'd have to research that.
I mean, we could be shattering records every year.
We could be. We could be having to have cookies for all. I can look that up for you. We can do a little bit of research.
Yes.
And get back to you on that.
Only if it takes less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
I don't spend a lot of district time on this.
Okay.
What I do want to know is part of what I understand to be a criteria for receiving the award is that the budget documents or the financial documents are easily accessible for the average non-finance person, and that is certainly in alignment with our district goal number 3, to make sure that we're communicating with our community in a way that's accessible and understandable. And so to continue in this vein and continue to look for further ways to make our finances understandable to the community at large is really important. We appreciate that.
I may have mentioned this at some point in one of my letters to you over the summer, but as we were interviewing for the CFO position, and as Ms. Hughes was interviewing, she shared that she's also working on her doctorate, and I happened to ask what her dissertation was about, and she said, it's how to explain finances to non-finance people. So I almost just said, you're hired. We almost just stopped the process right there. So, but that is a skill, to take something as complex as public school funding, educational funding, and then to explain the nuances of how things are always being trued up year to year, where all the funding comes from, and how we share really this budget with every school district across the state. That as shifts happen across the state, everybody's budget shifts. It's very unusual. It's not like a private business or even a nonprofit or family finance. It does have its particularities. And to find someone who does that work so exceptionally well as is interested in communicating it well to those of us without a finance background, I think is a remarkable find. So we'll look forward to some great graphs and visuals and whatever she's going to use to help us. So.
Let's move into board reports and start with Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you. So I attended the OSBA board retreat, June 22nd through the 24th, and highlights of interest were approval of OSBA's budget that included an option package for an investment in Forecast 5 analytics to provide greater access for boards and for districts. Forecast 5 is a very powerful data analysis tool, and it can be used in budgeting and program projections and planning to support data-informed decisions. So it can help us analyze our financial data, help us with our budget. It can create multi-year financial projections, and I'm really looking forward to having that tool available to us. We also approved $1.5 million for activities related to revenue reform and cost containment. So we'll be doing some polling and some grassroots advocacy for adequate and stable funding for public education. So you'll be hearing more about that so that we can engage in those advocacy activities as well. I attended OSBA's summer conference in Bend in July, and highlights there were Phil Gore's keynote, which was school boards' roles in student achievement, and it's really simple. We set measurable goals, we monitor the results, and we make adjustments. I attended lunch and the speakers were Representative Margaret Smith-Warner and Representative Knope. And they gave an update on their work on the Student Success Committee. And again, their objective is adequate and stable funding for education. So I think things are coalescing to see some changes in 2019. I attended Hilda Roselli's workshop on the TEL survey and how boards can use this valuable survey data regarding teaching and learning environments. And then another survey by 2 members of the Quality Education Commission. The report was subsequently released in August, and it's really an interesting tool, an industry report. As you know, the model shows the ideal amount, the funding to just get education in Oregon up to standard. And unfortunately, again, there's a gap. This time it's nearly $2 billion, or a 22.4% difference. It might be worth, if you have time, to access the QEM report, because included are some best practices for student achievement. As a member of the Clackamas Community College Citizen Oversight Committee, I attended our bond update meeting, and we toured the new Industrial Technology Center. And it's just really remarkable. It has very large, high bay shop space and state-of-the-art equipment. The equipment on the bottom right is just donated by an industry partner in an arrangement, a partnership with the university, with the college. I had a nice chance to visit with the new president, Tim Cook, and he's very energized about student achievement, making sure that all students achieved, and he especially sees the importance of that connection with the K-12 schools in the district, and he's very enthusiastic about the relationship with Linn-Wilsonville. If anyone's interested in access to the summer conference materials, I'm very happy to make any of them available to you.
Would you just remind us what report you suggested we look at particularly?
Oh, it's the quality education report was released in August. It's the quality, it's the Quality Education Commission's report. It's the quality education model for 2018.
And that's a state?
Yes, it's on the ODE website. Just
Okay.
look up QEM.
Who's next? Our agenda here.
I'll go.
Okay.
Keep it brief. I enjoyed the summer this past month greatly. I'm getting excited and I enjoy being back here and sitting here with each of you and starting to focus on the 2018-19 school year. I did have a child who participated in one of the CREST summer camps and had an incredible time. And not only do they want to do the same camp again, but they're looking towards the leadership role in the future. How can they be a counselor at CREST too? So that's kind of fun to see. I did take time in this past week to drive past each of the schools that has more major construction going on, just out of curiosity, just to see what it looks like. It always amazes me at the end because visually it's kind of hard to tell, but Tim Woodley and his outstanding crew inevitably tends to get everything done and welcoming for our students. And so I look forward to seeing the finished projects and products, I should say. So, and then other than that, I'm starting to focus on back to school supplies, and I'm just going to share that Target has this incredible new tool I heard about, and I don't know, I thought it was maybe a hoax because I saw it online. So I actually went on Target, and if you just search school supplies, you can find your school, find your grade level, and essentially they have all your supplies for you. They mark the lowest price that they offer it. And then if there are some supplies that they don't have, which for my 5th grader, there was a handful. Somehow they didn't have Ticonderoga pencils, which I thought was odd. And their commercial this morning that I saw had Ticonderoga pencils in it. So I don't know. But nonetheless, there's about 5 items that if you wanted your school shopping made easy, there's a way to do it online. And then you can just go pick up your box.
I'm sorry, I've lost track of my agenda.
Yeah, summer has been a lot of fun. It's been a welcome break from the regular routine, and that's most of what I've been focusing on, hanging out with my kids and hanging out with my kids' friends. As I was thinking, turning my attention this past week to this meeting and beginning to prepare for tonight and for the upcoming academic year, I can't help but be swept up a little bit in the excitement of the new year that I think everybody in academia gets. And I just realized that as fall comes, that I'm equally committed to being a learner, to growing myself as a board member, to being engaged in the learning opportunities that the superintendent presents, and just continuing to connect with the community and showing up as the best board member that I can be. So just have that new beginning of the academic year excitement and goals for myself.
Back, Director Hides.
Good to be back. I missed 8 days in June, had to be out of town and managed to miss 2 board meetings in 8 days. That was an impressive feat. I had a chance to go back and watch the June 11, 2018 meeting, which included a lot of public comments regarding the pesticide use, Mr. Woodley's presentation, the board's discussion. I thought it was handled very well. If I would have been here, the vote would have been 5-0, not 4-0. Having said that, when I returned from out of town, Non-Toxic Wilsonville reached out to me, asked for a meeting, and I've had a chance to meet with their leaders. It was a very productive conversation, and so I'm maintaining a conversation with them. They've asked for additional information from the district, which the district's working on, and we'll be sharing with them and the board when we receive it. But just want to let the public know that that dialogue is continuing, and as new information comes about, we are keeping an open mind with that. Also, stepping in another controversial issue, had a chance to speak with leaders of the Bolton neighborhood as they've reached out to me, and high school students as well about the parking issue, which kind of leads me to an important point, which is that a lot of people are unhappy with decisions the board makes. We can't make everybody happy. But something that I want to reiterate to the public is that this board is firmly committed to district goal number 3, which this board drafted, this board passed unanimously, which is that we value public input. And when issues come to us, we don't just count heads, but we are 5 very thoughtful people that take in as much evidence as we can, talk to as many different opinions as we can, and reach the best decision we can with regard to what's best for our students in this district. And I also want to emphasize for some people that just because we disagree with maybe how you feel doesn't mean that we're not listening. We listen to as much as we can, and sometimes you listen but don't agree. And there are issues where reasonable minds can reach 2 different conclusions, and that's how I look at some of the issues that have come before us. Finally, I want to comment on the superintendent evaluation, which I wasn't a part of because I missed that meeting as well. I read Vice Chair's Martin's letter that was submitted in the record. Very good letter. I thought it accurately represented what the board felt and how I felt. But I want to comment on my input on Dr. Ludwig in the past year I've been on this board. I had heard good things about Dr. Ludwig before coming on here, but I'm a naturally skeptical person, and so I reserved judgment until I had a chance to watch up close Dr. Ludwig work in this district. And over the past year, Dr. Ludwig's done a phenomenal job from what I've personally seen, and I just want to comment on some of the things that I've seen from Dr. Ludwig. I have toured schools with her, and it is amazing who she knows in the schools, from the superintendents to the teachers to the maintenance staff to the cooks. She really works to get out into the schools and know the staff, and that's important. And not only does she know them, but it's a very positive relationship that she has with those people, and it's really evident when you see that. I have been impressed with her commitment to an evidence-based practice or approach to new policies in this district, not what feels good or what sounds good, but what does the evidence show us. Her door is always open to the board members. In fact, she encouraged us to come meet with her. And perhaps most importantly is that the number one characteristic I look for in a leader is people who make the people around them better. And I think Dr. Ludwig makes her staff better. I think she makes this board better. And she's also dedicated to self-improvement. When we've come to her and said, let's work on X, Y, and Z, you will see differences in X, Y, and Z. That is not to say that Dr. Ludwig is perfect, as no person is perfect. And our job as the board will be to continue to work with her to make her the best superintendent as possible with our assistance to the extent that we can do that. And the last thing I wanted to say is that there was an op-ed in the Tidings a couple weeks ago about the 4% raise that we gave Dr. Ludwig. And I want to defend that raise. Since over the last 12 months, the inflation rate in this country was 2.9%. We gave her a 4% raise. So it's essentially a 1% raise. Not only is that just the right thing to do, but as anyone who works in an organization knows, if you want to hold on to talent, you got to pay for the talent. And a 1% pay increase may not even be paying for the talent. So I will definitely defend that to any of its detractors. And so I just want to say thank you, Dr. Ludwig, for a great 12 months. I look forward to working with you for at least the next 3 years.
So I was going to say I tried to take the summer off, but I think I ended up doing more as I listened to all the work that the board was doing through the summer. There were some things I did, and I want to particularly note how valuable it has been to me to work with Vice Chair Martin over this last year. She's been uniquely focused on what's important for students in our district and improving our work as a board. And it was along those lines that I was thinking of her as I was at the summer board conference with Dr. Reynolds and in moving forward on things that she has brought up many times regarding the board self-evaluation and improvement, and we're going to discuss that later. And in that same respect, at the conference, the TEL survey came up, which was something that Dr. Reynolds has brought up many times in her reports. And I'm chagrined a bit that I'm not listening better to the board members during their reports, because they're is a lot of work still for us to do. What I realized when I went to the summer board conference is we do some great things. We don't have some of the problems other boards have and other districts have, but that doesn't mean that there's still not work to do, that there's still not room for improvement. And both of those were things I attended and thought about, and we're moving forward on them. I want to note in terms of the TEL survey, which is a survey of licensed staff, so teachers. I want to recognize the following schools who had 50% or more participation in that: Trillium Creek, Beckman Creek, Boone's Ferry, Cedar Oak, Wood Middle School, and Willamette Primary had the highest rate of participation. And I want to recognize Patrick Miner for his accomplishing that, and for the staff there. It is invaluable information for this district, and although it's only offered every 3 years, 2 years, we need to see this from every school, is my opinion, and it'll be something I'll be talking with the board about, encouraging the board. If you Google TEL Survey Oregon, and then click on results, you can find the West Linn-Wilsonville School District and look at those individual results from those schools. It's very important information for us as a board as it relates to a number of our district goals. And so I hope that becomes part of our conversations. I concur with Dr. Reynolds talking about the keynote speaker, and certainly as a board, we make a difference. And when we have a strong leader like Dr. Ludwig, and we have a strong vision in our district, the things we do can really matter. And so I want us to continue on that trajectory to further our goals, to dive into those areas that we can still make some difference for each of our students. I have been in contact with the leaders of the 2 safety advisory committees. We hope to continue to move forward with that. We have a meeting coming up September 16th, where they'll be coming together, and then we'll be getting more information to the board from those committees. Also been having conversations and providing communication to the West Linn City Council regarding parking, and mainly that's work that the district staff has done, and I've provided a conduit for communication, but that's certainly still something we're communicating and working on with the West Linn City Council. And I appreciate the communication that other board members are doing on that. Dr. Ludwig.
I'm also going to invite Dr. Spencer Imes to join me up here. She's got a few slides at the very end, so we're kind of co-presenting. We can go ahead to the next slide. Thank you, Joe. So we've got a theme for this year as we launch the school year, and if you recall, a couple years ago, the theme was leaning in, which intimated participation, engagement. How do we help students lean into the learning, staff to lean into their professional learning? How do we create those conditions for relevant engagement, genuine engagement? Last year, as you recall, our theme was leading together, not only supporting teacher leadership and growing collective efficacy, but also leading together with those in the community and making some deliberate and intentional outreach to partner together. This year we launched the theme, and you'll hear more about it at the staff welcome back, so I don't want to ruin the whole talk, ruin the surprise. But the theme is leading for all, really thinking again about every student, all students, as it pertains to our inclusive practices, as it pertains to equitable outcomes, student outcomes. I recall a conversation this summer with Chair Fitch as we were, I think, crafting a response for a patron, and we both came to this question around how do we know that every student is receiving a quality education? It's certainly our goal. It's a compelling goal. It's our mission. And how are we always monitoring that and adjusting for that and thinking about a quality education for each child and every child? And that's a worthy question that we can always ask ourselves, and it's a worthy pursuit. You probably recognize the picture in this PowerPoint. If you were on your iPhone or glued to the television or watching the news between June 23rd and July 10th, this is a picture of the 12 boys and their soccer coach rescued from the caves in Thailand. So I'll be sharing a little bit of that story with the staff next Thursday and making a connection of that to our work. I certainly don't want to take away from the heroic efforts of the rescue, but when you learn more about the collaborative effort and the expertise that went into that real humanitarian effort, there's some through lines there to our work with children when we're on a mission that's bigger than ourselves. So Joe, if you can do the next slide. That notion of doing whatever it takes, that certainly was the effort of that rescue, that multinational rescue team, to do whatever it took to save those 13 lives. And we need to remember that our community sends us their children with high hopes, not for some success or a little success or mediocre success, but the utmost success, that their children reach their potential. And that's our moral imperative. It's our professional promise. And how do we live into that? So we're kind of working with that theme. We did at the retreat in some of our work around professional learning communities, continuing to build teacher efficacy, working with Hattie's notions of moving the dial, and then also our equity work and inclusive practices. So I'll be talking about that with teachers next week, but I've had a chance to share that story and that parallel with several groups now, our Department of Operations, our secretaries this morning, nutritional staff next week, and also then our staff as they come back. So it has been a busy summer. Children have been learning in our schools. You've seen this slide before. I shared it with you early in June before we took the hiatus for the summer. And I'm pleased to say all of this has been happening. And this morning, the high school, Westland High School, was busy with teachers at summer camp. Language arts teachers, science teachers have been busy, social studies teachers. And then we've also had our dual language teachers working together, particularly those who are opening the program in the middle school. Tomorrow morning, this room will be filled with approximately 50 to 60 teachers, would you say, Dr. Soyson? Not quite that many, close. For a 3-day workshop with Karen Beeman. Karen Beeman comes to us as not only an experienced educator and author of Teaching by Literacy, but also a professor and a consultant, and she has co-founded her own organization, Teaching by Literacy. So she's been a keynote speaker in a lot of the dual language conferences nationally and internationally. And thanks to our team, we've been able to capture her for our teachers for 3 days. And so teachers, again, are using their own time in the summer to come and to learn alongside her. So we're excited about that. Next slide. When we think about growing professional learning, organizations like Learning Forward that take a lot of research around assessing the impact of professional learning, meaning we invest time and money and resource into professional learning and professional development for our teachers. What is the impact of that, and what's a comprehensive professional design, professional learning design? And these components here come from the Learning Forward organization. And I think when you scan those, you'll see that the type of professional learning that we offer in our district, that we've reported to you on at monthly meetings, that we've offered this summer, falls into these categories. Where are the leaders learning in the organization? Professional learning communities, how do we leverage those? Where are there workshops and camps that help teachers not only learn the skill of their content, teaching their content area, but also developing their professional expertise? Lesson development and then classroom observation, getting teachers into classrooms as they do lesson study design. Mentoring and coaching, we've often gotten grant from the state to support that work. When that grant sunsetted, we actually took that on out of our general budget. And we have 2 teachers who have taken a leave from their classroom, experienced, seasoned, expert teachers in coaching who provide that mentoring for us full time. And they've done that last year and they'll continue this year. And then we'll rotate that type of teacher leadership role throughout the district. That's been incredibly effective. And then, of course, bringing in external expertise. There's a lot of expertise in this district, and then there are times when we seek those who have the research and who have a skill set that we need. Karen Beeman, I mentioned, someone that we're bringing in, and you've heard of others as we've shared that. So again, this is a comprehensive kind of a view of how do we design and create professional learning for our teachers, because we know when they're at their best, our students are learning at their best. Next slide. As you mentioned, Director Molitor, there's a lot of hammering and sawing and steel beams moving across the district. These are just a few pictures. Beckman Creek up at the top left. The top right, you can see the 2 gentlemen in that picture are helping to design the new entrance for Westland High School. The bottom right are some classrooms at Bolton. The bottom left, that's some turf installation that's going on at Wilsonville High School. Today I was able to also check in again at Bolton, and also the progress at Westland High School and the turf that's going in at Inza Wood Middle School. And so you can see by the list there, it's been a busy summer for our operations staff and our contractors. And the latest report is that we are on time and we are scheduled to open. So that's always a great thing. A lot of lighting replacement, carpet replacement. Thanks to Kurt Nelson and his staff, we're beginning the installation of video cameras around our schools, as you know from last year with some of our safety upgrades. Our emergency radios arrived. These are radios that can have consistent communication throughout the district. Our topography is very unique. Those of you who have dropped your cell service at some point winding the roads around Westland or Wilsonville, you know it's a very challenging area to have continued radio contact and cell service, and so these are incredibly robust radios that will provide consistent, robust communication at all times throughout the district. Mechanical upgrades. I do want to thank the city of Wilsonville. If you drive past Art Tech High School, you know we rent that space from the city of Wilsonville where Art Tech is located. You'll see a wonderful new coat of exterior paint. The building looks stunning. So thank you to Tim Woodley and his staff working with the city of Wilsonville for them to accomplish that. And then the bridge, that small little bridge that connects the 2 buildings, is no longer there because they are replacing it and making sure they have one that has more stability. I think there was some aging of some of the posts, and they didn't want that to be a problem. So they are fully replacing that bridge. And I believe it should be in place by the time our students arrive. If not, both buildings are still accessible from the exterior. So I want to thank our friends at the City of Wilsonville for taking good care of that building for our students to access. Just a couple dates in case you don't have them already in your iPhones or your smartphones. We will have, oh, I didn't put the date on there. The new teacher welcome is this week, the 16th. It's at 8 o'clock. Well, if you come at 7:30, then you're right on time or early. Yeah, have a little breakfast with us. That will be in this room, and these are for newly hired teachers. We welcome them, say a few words, but mostly they meet with Kathy Monroe and her staff. So I apologize that I didn't get the, on the 16th. So I apologize, I got the times on there, the location, and didn't get the dates. And the all-staff welcome back is next Thursday. And all of you, of course, as a board, participate in that. You're in the audience as participants, and then we do invite you on stage to help us celebrate the teachers who have their milestones of their years that we acknowledge. You did that last year beautifully, and we'll be doing that tradition again this year. First day of school is Monday the 27th. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Spencer Imes. There's a couple of items that we want you to be aware of. And so she's going to provide a medical update for you on health services in our schools.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to take a few minutes to get you in the loop about something new that our district is going to be participating in so that you understand why and are part of that communication. As patrons or families might have questions for you, anytime we take on something new, we want to really invest in our communication up front. So a couple of things. We want to as we have maintained our vision of supporting the whole child, we understand the importance of health as part of that work. You have heard many reports and have showed your appreciation for various folks, whether they're nurses or physical therapists or occupational therapists, various people who support health of children in our schools. We know that healthy kids learn better, and we know it's not just the responsibility of the schools, but as part of the whole community, we're part of that picture for folks. We also know that we play an important role in supporting certain public health initiatives like immunizations and things like that that help our whole community stay healthy, and schools have a role to play in that. Finally, we know that we have, as part of being inclusive and making sure that public schools are available for every child, free and accessible, that there are some children who need health services to access school on a daily basis. Everything from health management plans for allergies or medical conditions to Section 504 plans for students who may be impacted by diabetes and need some accommodations to manage that health condition, to individualized education programs through special education services that may include any of those health services as well that a student might need. So there's a challenge in that. This is probably not news to you that the costs of schools continue to rise, and included in the costs of all parts of running schools, also the costs of health services in schools continue to rise. This little graph here is about total expenditures in the state of Oregon by schools on health services. So what schools have spent on hiring nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists to meet those obligations, to make sure all students can access school, that they have the appropriate supports and related services that they need, and that we can make sure all children are here and healthy. So as in the student services world, I've been part of various groups and conversations with state leaders about how do we continue to get more support in helping to fund schools in various ways. And one of the ways we've talked about is about our need in the area of health services. So there was a question can we access some more federal funds to help defray some of the costs of providing health services in schools? And the answer is there are some ways, yes. And there are two programs that I want to refer to you tonight. One is the Medicaid Administrative Claiming Program. This is reimbursement for outreach activities that we do. We are often connecting families with medical providers, making referrals, helping families fill out insurance forms, whatever they might need to get those health needs that they need outside of the school. And the federal government recognizes the role, the unique role that schools play in helping to connect families to those services. So they have this program, what we call the MAC program, that helps reimburse us for some of that time that we spend as schools helping connect families to things like the Oregon Health Plan. So we have participated in that program for about 6 years, and we've gotten great support from our business department and from our building principals, because it's a survey that we do 3 times a year, and staff get selected and keep track of their day and how much of that time do they do those kinds of activities. And then we get some reimbursement that comes into the district that we reinvest in some of the positions that we have. We've reinvested that in the last few years in an additional nurse, an additional occupational therapist, some additional materials for some of our health curriculum in the past. So those are some things we've done with our Medicaid funds. So we've done that, and we're going to keep doing that. It's not a ton of effort, just a little bit of cheerleading and organization. And we do those surveys a few times a year, and it has been a really good program for us. So now we are going to be thinking about a separate program, Medicaid billing, sometimes called fee-for-service billing. This is different than the survey. This is about getting reimbursed directly for health services that we do provide that are part of an individualized educational program. So I know Dr. Reynolds is always on top of all of the legislation that is coming out, and so she's probably has shared with you in the past that Senate Bill 111 came out last year. It originally had language that was going to require school districts to begin doing Medicaid billing. It ended up being softened from a requirement to an encouragement, and in fact to start a pilot program where the Oregon Department of Education would support nine districts in getting the infrastructure up and ready for Medicaid billing. So a couple of things to know about this program is it is a way that we can access federal funds. And in the conversations we'd had in the past with the legislature around we need some more support for some of these things, they kind of came back to us and said, well, there's some money that perhaps as school districts you're not accessing that you could. So that's why they're really wanting to support us in moving forward. So it is a way to access federal funds that are there and to use that for helping to pay for some of the costs of health-related staff. It requires those staff to take careful notes in a particular system. As medically licensed providers, they have to take those notes anyway. That's part of their licensure to take. As a physical therapist, you have to keep notes on all your patients, or as a nurse, you have to keep those kind of care notes. What we will be doing now is providing a organized place where those notes are kept, and then on the back end, if that student is eligible, we can bill back for Medicaid. It reimburses us for some of those costs for students who are served by an IEP and who are eligible for the Oregon Health Plan. That happens on the back end, so confidentiality is maintained for the student throughout the system. So one of the important things that's been happening this summer is our fabulous folks from the Informational Technology Department have been working on the software that connects those two so that we will be prepared for that. The final thing I wanted to point out is that consent of parents is required to do this. We can't bill for Medicaid for any student unless their parent consents to that. So two really important things for people to understand in order for parents to be willing to consent for us to be able to do that billing are that over on that no side, there is no impact on that family or child's ability to access their own doctor, their own outside physical therapist, their whatever medical needs they have, that is not impacted by the school district billing. They're really separate programs. We're billing more on behalf of the student. It does not impact the benefits, reduce them, or change them in any way for what the family would access with their outside providers. It also is really important to know that our obligations to provide a free and appropriate public education continue, whether or not a family chooses to allow us to do a Medicaid billing or not. So they'll still get the services they need for special education, whether or not they choose to allow us to bill for Medicaid. We hope they would allow us to, because it would be a way to help, again, support the growing needs and costs of the school district in a way that would benefit all of us as we're continuing to help with those costs. Director Heights.
Are we able